Welcome to the 8th edition of World Intellectual Property Forum. The inaugural ceremony will be starting in few minutes.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I thank the World Intellectual Property Forum for giving me this opportunity to make this presentation on IPR in times of COVID-19. So first of all, I thought, let me say where we are in terms of the WHO's work on COVID-19. And in WHO, we are actually engaged with the COVID-19 Tools Accelerator, which is called the ACT Accelerator, which is a global collaboration to accelerate the development, production, and equitable access to COVID-19 diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines. As you know, we are already receiving information that vaccines are now coming up into the market. And it is at an unprecedented scale that vaccine development has taken place. Usually this takes about 10 years to develop a good vaccine. In Ebola, it took us 5 years to do that. But now, because of the COVID-19 situation, this has been really crunched in terms of time. So the total investment needed for the ACT Accelerator has been estimated at 31.3 billion, and about 19 billion has been pledged by various governments. With respect to the vaccines, the agencies that are deeply involved are the CEPI, which is the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness of Innovations, and Gavi, which is the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. And these are the two that, along with WHO, that are looking at managing the entire COVID-19 vaccine deployment plan, and also an equitable access on fair allocation of the available vaccines. And for therapeutics, to complete the picture, we have UNITAID, which is working on it along with WHO. And for diagnostics, it is FIND and the Global Fund that are the principal collaborators in this process. Now, in terms of IPR, there have been various new developments. There is the COVID-19 Technology Access Pool that has suggested that we compile in one place all the pledges for voluntary sharing health technology related to COVID-19, IPR, and data. And the pool will draw on existing mechanisms. So the medicines patent pool that has been engaged in terms of promoting licensing, voluntary licensing arrangements for access, particularly in the HIV/AIDS field, that kind of information will be taken up on board, and the UN Technology Bank, which has hosted the Technology Access Partnership. And incidentally, the CTAP was also discussed at the UN level in their main meeting, which took place on 25th September 2020. So this is a global mechanism along with various partners that is envisaged to take the whole agenda forward in terms of access to COVID-19 technologies. What World Intellectual Property Rights has done is that they have now a number of COVID-19 related, IP related resources which are available, and they are worth mentioning. As in COVID-19, they have set up a glossary which contains key concepts for COVID-19 pandemic, particularly in biology, medicine, and public health. And then the patent scope COVID-19 search facility provides access to the novel coronavirus patent-related information. And this is very relevant because when we talk about Pfizer and the BioNTech that is now on the market, we actually found that the development of these products and the patent information dates back to 2011 and 2013. So this information is particularly valuable. And then COVID-19 IP policy tracker really looks at how the different IP offices are responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. There are now newer engagements on IPR and trade. So in terms of patents and licensing of a new vaccine, and I will come to this in the context of the Oxford AstraZeneca collaboration in the next slide. But more importantly, these new arrangements in view of the pandemic are taking place and these open up new methods of engaging on IP and collaborative mechanisms. There is also, patents usually take a fair share of their discussion, but the other IPRs are also very relevant in this case. For COVID-19, there has been a lot of discussion in WHO on trademark and labeling for traceability. So the labeling indications based on data, the stability profile, cold chain requirements, and use in different field conditions, including the shelf life at the time of shipment and beyond. All these aspects are relevant in the point of labeling issues and would be important for trademark aspects of IPR. And we need to bear in mind that the interface with medical product regulatory systems across countries is very critical because they play a real major role in terms of the quality, safety, and efficacy of all the products on the market. So when we talk of new arrangements, as I have mentioned earlier, that in terms of the AstraZeneca-Oxford liaison, these are a very positive collaboration which took place between the Vasitech, which was a small company founded by Sarah and Adrian Hill, who were working at Jenner Institute. And they founded this in 2016, but when COVID-19 came, they realized that they need a larger pharmaceutical industry collaboration to actually bring this at the scale that was needed onto the market and for all the different countries. And so normally a collaboration with industry would take much longer, but this time many of these collaborations have been fast-tracked, and it has said that Oxford would get a royalty, but equally AstraZeneca is reported to have mentioned that they are not going to look at entirely a profit-driven mechanism in terms of the deployment of the vaccines in the various countries. The Pfizer BioNTech vaccine is really the first that has got the approval and is now being rolled out, as we all know, both in the UK and the US. This was developed by BioNTech, and this is a collaboration between these two companies, Pfizer and BioNTech. And it is important to mention that this is a new kind of technology which targets the RNA technology. And this is a new technology which is being tried both by Pfizer and with Moderna, which is the next product before the regulators for approval, and which is also linked to this technology. So here, these are patents that are directed at the RNA, and they are directed both at that and at the RNA and the lipids profiles. And the patents are very critical in terms of bringing an entirely new method of vaccine development. And the critical point here has been, as a consideration for all countries, that the cold storage and the cold chain requirements are rather onerous, because they talk of -70 degrees, which may not be possible in all the countries to be able to have that kind of cold chain requirements, particularly at the point of delivery. So we spoke about the labeling and packaging requirements and the inserts which are relevant for the COVID-19 vaccines. And WHO has been working on this in terms of the labeling models, both for the carton labels and also for the generic vial labels. They have also been looking at QR codes and also extension of expiry dates as in order to put that on the vials. And also in terms of the mechanisms, how to make these insert information available as early as possible, also for training materials, given the urgency of getting these vaccines deployed in the field. And there are also discussions on translation of local language inserts and how to make sure that the cold chain requirements and the maintenance of cold chain is also equally explained for the health workers, in particular as they move for deployment and distribution of these vaccines. So I thought it was interesting that very recently, while we are still waiting for the approval of the vaccines, the first patent infringement suit for BioNTech and Pfizer has already been filed. And that was on October 5, where Allyl Patent has accused, Allyl Biotechnology Company has accused the use for use of an artificial fluorescent M-neon green used for testing COVID-19 assays against the vaccine candidates. So just to say that the patent infringement suits seem to follow on very closely the developments that are taking place in the vaccine arena. And given the large deployment that is necessary for COVID vaccines and the deployment of the technology, this will be extremely relevant. And, but we do need to bear in mind that the role of the drug regulatory agencies is absolutely critical. The use of emergency use authorization of the COVID-19 vaccines has been clearly defined. And there have been numerous engagements of the regulators in terms of defining this emergency use of the COVID-19, because while the clinical trial data is emerging and will follow pace along with the adverse events following immunization, the AEFI data is also being closely kept watch on for this authorization of these vaccines. It's also necessary to bear in mind that there has been absolutely an unprecedented pace of vaccine development. This has never happened before as a response to the COVID-19. And the market authorization by drug regulatory authorities will be necessary and critical for bringing the vaccine to the people. And each national drug regulatory authority would have to allow for this market authorization. And for this, WHO has been engaged in promoting reliance mechanisms so that if the stringent regulatory authorities, which are the regulatory authorities earmarked as the European Medical Agency or the MHRA, the UK agency, or the US FDA, once these have authorized the drug regulatory approval process, the dossiers of these vaccines should be also made available to the other regulators so that they can see on what basis these regulatory approvals are given, and so they can also fast track the approval for their own people. So these are some of the aspects which are important in terms of COVID-19 and the IPR and other regulatory issues which are important for in the current context. Over, and I thank you for giving this opportunity once again. Thank you.